Well, thank you so much, Chris, and thank you to all of you who've come here today for the 17th Annual Community Living Ontario and Member Agencies Day. And it's just wonderful. I've been the minister now for almost 3 years to see so many friends who I've met across the province. I've now visited 15 community living agencies across the province, and I'm so impressed with the work that I see people doing each and every day to ensure that the supports and services are there for the most vulnerable in our society, those who need that extra help, to be included in our communities. And I'm pleased to see there were many members from our caucus, the Liberal caucus here. It is our caucus day, actually, so I think some of them have had to leave, and I'm very pleased to see my two critics, Randy Petterpiece and Lisa Gretzky, because quite seriously, I don't think that looking after those with developmental disabilities should be in any way a partisan issue. And though they prod me now and again, that's all to the good. It's just make sure that they bring their views forward, and that spurs us on to do more. And so, as I think all of you know, we really are in the midst of a transformation of how we look after those with developmental disabilities. We've closed the institutions, we've moved out into the community, but we still have a lot more work to do, as Chris has said. And one of the areas that, of course, is engaging our government is the move to employment supports, making sure people have the potential to be involved in a job, make sure that they have appropriate activities through the day so that they can feel part of the community. And so just a couple of the highlights of what we have done over the last year. This March, I was at Community Living York South, Samantha was there, to announce some $7 million for funding 38 projects, particularly in relation to increasing opportunities for employment. And many of those 38 projects were actually initiated by community living agencies. We've been moving away from sheltered workshops, and I'm so pleased to have had the support of so many of you in ensuring that we move to employment that is meaningful. And though this is not something that is possible for everyone, I think that where I've seen the move take place, I'm thinking of Community Living Algoma in particular, where there's just an amazing organization matching people's individuals, not only their skills, but also their personality to the right employer and supporting the individual in that employment. One of the other special initiatives that I've seen work so successfully is the Culinary Skills Initiative. And this is where Christian Horizons, Humber College started off with a program where individuals could obtain their food handler certificate, and I'm now seeing more and more of this particular skill being engaged in, and there's some training involved, but people are moving into that particular area very, very successfully. In the last year, we also did introduce our Report On initiative. This is the 24/7 direct phone and email service for reporting suspected or witnessed abuse or neglect. Obviously, this is something that's rare, but we need to ensure that everybody is safe as they move into the community. And we have had a number of calls to that line, and they are dealt with in an extremely sensitive manner. We've also had a number of our housing task force projects develop and it be instituted. We announced a second wave of those, and we're eagerly looking forward to the results of some of those projects over the next couple of years. These were particular partnerships in different communities, again, to support people as appropriate in their communities. We also held a housing forum along with the Ministry of Housing to explore alternatives where we would have a situation where people are getting the type of housing that suits their needs the best, because we know that there is no one size fits all. And that was, I think, a very successful forum. It was broadcast across the province. A lot of people gave a lot of excellent ideas. So with the funding that was first announced 3 years ago, we now have 24,000 adults receiving Passport. And as you know, we've relaxed some of the requirements for Passport. There's direct funding. People are taking opportunities to, again, make sure that the type of use of that money is specific to the individual receiving it. The family and the caregivers really know what is the best use for that funding, and we're very pleased with the way our direct funding is working. So in this year's budget, what we have proposed is an additional $677 million over 4 years. And what we are going to do with that is, of course, increase the number of people accessing Passport, but we're also doing something that I think is extremely important, which is addressing specialized housing supports for individuals who perhaps have come in contact with the justice system, those that are perhaps inappropriately placed in long-term care facilities and in hospitals. These are urgent cases to ensure that people get the type of support they need out in the community. And we did manage to increase the Ontario Disability Support Program by 2%. That's what we've proposed in this budget. We think that that is certainly slightly above inflation, and we listened to what we heard from community living agencies and many advocates to increase the asset limits and the limit for gifts that people are able to receive without having their ODSP clawed back. So we're obviously got a lot more to do, as we always say, but I feel confident we're moving in the right direction, and seeing you all here just reminds me that we need to continue to work with you, to listen to you, to hear from you just exactly how we move forward and what the best plan for each individual is. So thank you so very much.